Hi guys, so you're going to come round for Christmas and we're going to play some board games. Thought we could play the new one I got, Azul.
Hey, let's play Monopoly.
Oh no, play something good like, you know, Catan.
Can we play Monopoly?
How about this little game? Army of Frogs, that's a good one.
How about we play Monopoly?
Really? How about a dice game?
What about a game of Monopoly?
Zombies, everyone likes a zombie game.
Can we play Monopoly?
Ticket to Ride, you can all get involved with that one. There'll be no arguments.
But what about Monopoly?
How about Munchkin? We all love Munchkin.
So what about Monopoly?
Monopoly. Out of all the games I've got, you want to play Monopoly. Okay, let's do it. Hi there and welcome to Into the Box, and today's game is the classic Monopoly.
How did I make it big? I know how to play the game. I buy real estate, hotels, fancy cars, even railroads, and I take chances. To make it big, you've got to play the game. I'm Monopoly Game.
Now Monopoly is a game we all love and we all seem to play around Christmas time, so I thought it would be a perfect time for us to explore the game and have a little talk about it. So the basic idea behind Monopoly, here's the board. This is the classic one. This one's actually from 1961. So this is the old green style board, which a lot of people grew up with and still play with today. And a lot of us grew up with this sort of red and white style box, and so I've got this. This isn't my original, but one of my original Monopolies did look like this, but I don't think it had like the black logos on there. There are loads and loads of different types of Monopoly out there today. As you can see, I've got a few here. I've got the Ghostbusters Monopoly and the 60th anniversary Monopoly, which we'll have a little look at later on as well. So the main idea behind Monopoly is you have to go around the board collecting properties, buying and selling properties, and then hopefully people land on your squares and they have to pay you rent. And the idea is to make everyone else in the game bankrupt. You roll 2 dice to move around the board. Once you bought a whole Monopoly of, say, all the yellows or all the blues, you can then start building on there. First of all, you had to build these houses, these little green houses, wooden ones in the original, and then they went into plastic. Once you've built 4 of those houses, you can then build one of these red hotels. Now, depending on how many houses or a hotel on your property would show how much somebody had to pay rent on your site, which is on the cards. Here's the original style cards here, and as you can see they have all the different rents on there and how much the houses and the hotels cost. Money can be gained or lost in the game also by landing on chance cards or on community chest cards, and also by landing on the tax locations on the board. So there's hundreds and hundreds of different versions of Monopoly out there, lots of different spin-off games. I've got a couple of them here. Got Monopoly Deal, it's a card game, and one which is just called the Monopoly Card Game, both different. But there was loads of other different little spin-off games. There's also computer games made. There's also talk of a movie in 2015, so I'm not sure if that's still going to be made, but that's also in the pipeline. Here's the original rules for the Monopoly game, and there's quite a few rules in there, but a lot of people used to take these rules and make up their own house rules. So much so that the company that makes Monopoly, which is Waddington's in the UK, they actually put a thing on their Facebook asking what the top 5 house rules were, and they've actually now included those as optional rules in the actual release of the game. This game is being sold in 103 countries around the world, and it's also been sold in 37 different languages, so this game is huge. It was first derived from a game called The Landlord's Game back in 1903 in America, but then it was first published as Monopoly by Parker Brothers in 1935. That was in the US, but then there was conversations with Waddingtons over in the UK, who also brought it out in 1935, but they made the London version, which is the version which most people around the world would have played. It's now owned by Hasbro. It has been since 1991, and it's still being produced in its hundreds and thousands today, and still being sold really well. There's 3 characters in the game which were actually made by a famous cartoonist at the time. There's the go to jail officer, which actually has a name. His name's Edgar Mallory, which is something I never knew before. There's the man in the jail cell. His name is Jake the Jailbird. And then there's the mascot of the game, which his name is Milburn Pennybags, or a lot of people call him Rich Uncle Pennybags. And there's a little fact here as well. Everybody thinks he's got a monocle in front of one of his eyes, but if you actually look at him, he's never had a monocle. Strange little fact there. Also, while doing a bit of research on this game, I found out in 1941 the British Secret Intelligence Service actually made a load of special versions of Monopoly, which were sent into Nazi prisoner of war camps, which had hidden items in them, such as maps, compasses, even real money, and other things to help them escape from their prisoner of war camps. So yeah, they've even got a place in history. A few of the house rules which I use, and quite a lot of people use, is the free parking house rule, where every time you pay a fine in the game, either from a card or from tax, you put the money in the centre of the board, and then if somebody lands on the free parking, they would collect the money. Also, some people use the land on go, collect £400, so if you pass it you collect 200, but if you actually landed on it you collect 400. And there's loads more as well which people made up over the years. There have been a few official add-ons to the game. There's the Stock Exchange, the Playmaster, which is like an electronic computer which keeps track of everybody's moves and money, and there's the Get Out of Jail game, which you have to flip people out of jail to try and get them out of jail. Also, there was in the official game, they actually introduced a speed dice, which was a dice with the numbers 1 to 3 on it, but also it had a Uncle Pennybags and a bus icon on there. If you rolled 3 of the same number, you was allowed to move your character anywhere on the board. If you rolled the Uncle Pennybags, you would go to the next unowned property, and if you rolled the bus, you'd have a choice of what dice roll you wanted to use. There's lots of bits in the game, and the money is quite a iconic thing in the game. So we've got the £1, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 50, the hundreds, and the 500s. Now this Monopoly money is very iconic, and you show somebody around the world this money and they straight away know it's the Monopoly game. There are several pieces in the game. You can have up to 6 players playing it at once. Now in 1935 there was 8 original pieces. There was the car, the iron, the lantern, the purse, the rocking horse, the boot, the thimble, and the top hat. They also designed 2 more around 1937, which were the dog and the battleship, which they would replace with some of the other figures in the game. The lantern, the purse, and the rocking horse were all taken out of the game in the 1950s, and they were replaced by the man on the horse, the wheelbarrow, and the cannon. But then again in the 1990s, the horse and the cannon were removed from the game. I've heard that since 2017, but I've not actually seen these, they've introduced the cat, the penguin, the T-Rex, and the rubber duck, which we all know how they like to change these games to make them more relevant for new players. So some additional rules in the game: if you were to land on somebody else's property and you run out of money, you can sell your houses back to the bank for a reduced cost of what you bought them for, or you can mortgage your properties and get half the value of what the properties are. Then obviously if you've run out of properties to mortgage, you then go bankrupt and you're out of the game. One of the biggest rules in Monopoly, which a lot of people don't actually play by, but it is in the actual official rules, and I don't think I've ever played a game where people use this, but it's the auction rule. So whenever you land on a property, you can buy that property for the amount showed on the board. However, if you don't want that property, it then has to go up for auction. So the person playing the banker would have to hold up the card, and then everybody in the game can bid on that property. So you could start as little as £1, and then somebody else could bid up to 5, 10, 20. Then whoever had the highest bid would then win that card, which is an interesting idea on the game, and I've never actually played like that, so I'm going to have to give that a go at some point. This is a very cool, retro, nostalgic game for most people, but on Board Game Geek they actually only give it 4 out of 10. Now I can sort of see why, because if you compare this to some more modern games, some better built games of nowadays, this does seem very sort of simplistic, and it's very much a roll the dice move, and it's a bit random, and it all just, a lot of it is luck. But saying that, just like I said at the beginning of the video, if you ask anybody what game they want to play when they're in a family or friend situation where you haven't got gamers in the mix, they will always select Monopoly. It's just one of those go-to games. Everyone knows it, everyone's played it, everyone remembers it from their childhood, and it's just one of those feel-good games which gets all the family involved and causes a few arguments, which is always quite funny. So that's it, that's Monopoly. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a really good Christmas, maybe getting the Monopoly out and play it. Tell me some of your stories. Have you got Monopoly? You must have. Let me know in the comments below. Give me a thumb up, and I'll see you in the new year. Thanks for watching.
Monopoly.
Monopoly.